Welcome to the second video of Unit 6 on Islam. In a previous video, we talked about the Islamic faith and the beginnings of Islam. In this video, we're going to talk about the expansion of Islam and the achievements of the Islamic Empire. So we already talked about how Muhammad was the founder of Islam. He founded Islam on the Arabian Peninsula. He is going to conquer the Arabian Peninsula before his death in 532 AD, and the Arabian Peninsula will become, everyone who lived on the Arabian Peninsula would become followers of Islam. So the first stage in the spread of Islam is that darkest red there on the map, and that is during Muhammad's lifetime. Muhammad's four immediate successors, known as the Rashidun, were elected as caliphs of the Muslim people. A caliph is a military and religious leader in the Muslim faith. So these four ruled successively, meaning one after the other following his death. The Rashidun expanded Islamic territory through the Middle East, Northern Africa, and into the Persian and Byzantine empires. So under these four caliphs, which become known as the four rightly guided caliphs, because they were taught by Muhammad, under their leadership, you see the expansions into the more pinkish color on the map. So during the lifetime of Muhammad, Islam expanded across the Arabian Peninsula. After his death, the four rightly guided caliphs are going to rule, and that will be that second expansion, that pink expansion on the map. Important cities that they conquered included Jerusalem, which is home of Christian and Jewish religions, and Damascus, an important trading city and a major center of learning. Both of those are pointed to on the map. The two biggest reasons contributing to the Islamic army's successes were a combination of the soldiers' strong faith and good army leadership, as well as weak empires that surrounded their territory. The Byzantine and Persian empires were still around, but they were in their later years. They were weak from fighting and from poor leadership. And so it would make it much easier for the Islamic Empire to expand into these areas. So Islam is a religion. There was an empire that was founded surrounding the religion. So as they moved, as they expanded, the religion would spread with them. The Quran prohibits, and the Quran again is the holy text of Islam, prohibits forced conversion. So Muslims conquered territory through the following methods. Voluntary conversions. People viewed battlefield victories as a sign from God, and so if the Islamic armies won, it would be a sign that they should convert to Islam. Political pressure, for example, taxation for non-Muslims, trade benefits, and intermarriage with local tribes. There was a major split in Islam following the rightly guided caliphs. So when the last of the Rashidun, the rightly guided caliphs, Ali, who was a blood relative of Muhammad, was murdered, there was conflict over who should lead the religion. So these four rightly guided caliphs had ruled, everyone had agreed that they were the ones to rule. Once the last of those four dies, Ali, there is a split in the religion over who should rule next. And that is a split that has continued all the way until today. Sunni and Shia are the two sides that came from this. The Sunni Muslims are the majority, and they believe that the descendants of any of the four caliphs can become a leader in the faith, as long as they were religious, knowledgeable, and well-liked. Sunni Muslims also believe that leaders can be elected. On the other side of this is the Shia Muslims. It can be spelled two different ways. They believe that the leaders of the faith should only be direct descendants of Muhammad and the final caliph, Ali. They are a minority group, much smaller than the Sunni, and they are much more strict in their beliefs. Several civil wars were fought between Sunni and Shia groups in early Muslim history and continue to a lesser degree today. And there is violence that still occurs today that spans from the split in this religion. So if you take a look here on this map, you can see the difference in terms of majority and minority. So the lighter green are the Sunni, the majority that believe that a leader can be elected. The darker green is the Shia, and they believe that the leader must be a direct descendant of Muhammad or the final of the four rightly guided caliphs, Ali. After the Rashidun, or those rightly guided caliphs, the Umayyad family expanded Islam control between 661 and 750 AD. So that would be the last section of expansion you see on the map, that yellow color. They did not elect their caliphs, rather they passed power on from father to son. So we know the term for that is dynasty. The Umayyad dynasty established a common currency called the dinar, which became the most commonly used coin in the world. This is an example of what the dinar would look like. The Umayyad dynasty also made Arabic the official language of all Muslim areas. So all the areas conquered that you saw on that map, all those areas would then use Arabic as their official language. Slavery was tolerated in Muslim territory, but it was not based on race, just as we've seen in all the civilizations thus far. In 732 AD, King Charles Martel defeated the Muslim army at the Battle of Tours in modern France. So this is a really important battle because this battle stopped the spread of Islam from spreading into Europe. And at the time, all throughout Europe, people were practicing Roman Catholicism. And so this Roman Catholicism would not have been as strong of an influence had Islam spread into the region. And so things might be very different today had the Islamic Empire been able to expand into Europe. But they were stopped at the Battle of Tours by King Charles Martel. And Islam is not going to, the Islamic Empire is not going to expand into Europe after that battle. It was a turning point for those living in Europe as well as the Islamic military, the Islamic Empire. Spain remained under Muslim control until 1492. So, even though the rest of Europe was not under Muslim control, Spain was. The area that is today Spain was. The Abbasid dynasty, they take over in 750 AD or CE. They're going to move the capital of the Muslim territory to Baghdad. And you see here we have less land that they controlled. At the Battle of Tours, that's going to be the largest the Islamic Empire is. After that, it is going to become less spread. That doesn't mean the faith isn't as far spread, but the empire itself would be. Baghdad became a center of learning and trade until it was conquered by the Mongols in 1258 AD or CE. There are some cultural and scientific achievements of note from the Islamic Empire. From the period of around 700 to 1400 AD or CE, Muslim areas were more advanced in technology and learning than Europe. This is because at this time in Europe, they're going through the Dark Ages, what you might have heard referred to as the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. And this is a time where people are living in kingdoms with kings who are in charge. They don't travel far. The vast majority of people cannot read or write in Europe. And so things are going to be very different in the Islamic Empire. A lot of learning and advancements will occur. Some of the things of note are the creation of the Dome of the Rock, located in Jerusalem. We mentioned this in the last video. A mosque at the site where Muhammad ascended into heaven. You'll also notice all on the outside of this especially, you'll notice many of the mosaics. And mosaics are often how Muslims decorated mosques. Arabic was the official language of all Muslim-controlled areas. Much of their artwork contains calligraphy. So calligraphy you can see here in this image. It is Arabic writing that is in the shape of something. And so this is Arabic written in the shape of what looks like a lion. Several Muslim cities like Baghdad, Damascus, and Cordoba, located in Spain, became centers of learning and were homes of advanced universities and libraries. Education was important. Muslim scholars translated ancient Greek and Roman texts into Arabic and helped preserve those ideas. So we've seen many areas throughout history that preserved Greek and Roman ideas, including the Byzantines and now the Islamic armies as well. Arabic numerals were borrowed by Europeans because they were much easier to use than Roman numerals. Remember how Roman numerals, an example, the number 7 would be VII, and instead they decided to use Arabic numerals, which were much simpler. You can see up here, it would just be 1 symbol rather than 3. So Arabic numerals will become popular. The mathematician Al-Khwarizmi combined Greek and Indian methods to develop algebra, taken from the Arabic word al-jabr. So algebra was first created during the expansion of the Islamic Empire. Muslim doctors combined Greek, Persian, Syrian, Egyptian, and Indian medical knowledge together to treat the sick. They also created hospitals, medical encyclopedias, and found cures and treatments to many simple diseases. So they did a lot of research into diseases and how to treat them, and then they wrote those down and taught others how to do those treatments as well. Muslim doctors also made many advances in anatomy. Anatomy is a study of the human body. Meanwhile, Europeans were still curing people by covering them with leeches and bleeding them. That was a very common practice in Europe during the Middle Ages, was the belief that blood was infected or impure, and so using leeches to suck out the blood would be a very common treatment for many different diseases. It almost never worked. Muslims also made many advances in astronomy and geography. The astrolabe, which is shown here to the right, calculated the position of the stars. So this made travel much easier. Understanding where the stars were allowed for direction to be much simpler in terms of travel on ships and caravans. And so trade is going to advance through the use of things like the astrolabe. European exploration by people like Columbus, Magellan, and da Gama would not have been possible without Muslim maps and navigational technology. That is the end of the unit on Islam.